Hello, it's me, Noir Nerd, and I thought if you've been watching my channel recently, you'll see that I've did this room creator component for A-frame recently, so I thought I'd just do like a really simple tutorial to show how to create maybe 3 rooms very quickly, for like basically download the repo, how to implement your own version of using this component for this room creator component basically. So the actual component code and tool code is here. It's github.com/noir a-frame_room creator. And that should take you to this page where you can then follow the tutorial if you want. So why did I make this? Well, basically because there was, like I said before, there was Oh My God, It's Raven's version of something similar. Just look, but I just wanted to do my own version of it as well. Also, I think just for different. Why A-frame? How can it not find it? A-frame always comes up like, yeah, it literally comes up with A-frame every time you try and Google something. It's really annoying. Component or something. I should find it. The one that. Yeah, there was this room component, but I wanted to basically do my own sort of version of this. For slightly different scenarios. This is quite a cool one, but it's quite complicated setup. Often, this is the Oh My God, It's Ravens version of an I tried this out like a while ago. It is, and my version of like a sort of room component tool is a much more simple implementation. It's basically you've got full height walls that you can add a texture to, a floor that you can add a texture to. You can specify size. You've got the map editor to actually lay everything out. But let's actually just crack on actually, because I don't want to take too long rambling. Okay, so I'm just going to open up my PowerShell here. You can obviously do this however you want, but I'll just do it a nice fast way. I'm going to go HTTPS. I'm just going to clone the thing. If you haven't got Git, and then where should I put it? I'll just put it. I think documents is in there, isn't it? Right? Yeah. And then I'll go Git. So wherever you want to, basically, obviously wherever you want to install the thing. I'm just going to go Git clone. Obviously you need Git set up first if you're going to do this. Obviously you're going to clone this to kill the base, but I'm assuming that you've got that level of knowledge. And there we go. It's just it's got the actual repository. Now, maybe I should use Visual Studio Code for this, but I don't think I've got it installed. I'm going to be using WebStorm, but there's nothing really IDE specific or code editor specific I'm going to be doing that much, so shouldn't really make any difference. But yeah, basically I'm going to be using this editor. This is actually opening up a different version of it. So let me just find like the fresh version that we just installed. So it's in my documents. So let me just find that quickly. So you obviously navigate to wherever you installed the files. So just put it in documents, and I did it there, room creator. See, A-frame room creator. I'll just open that. I just want that window open. That's fine. Okay, so like this is subject to change. It might change a little bit, but it's not going to change a great deal. So let me just quickly talk about each folder, what's in each. This is the README, obviously. So this basic documentation for how to use the tool, the map editor, and how to use the actual component itself. Obviously, you should read this really if you want to get a little bit of an understanding of how it works and what the possibilities at the minute for using it. We have this is basically the source of the entire component. It's just like just over 100 lines, and essentially what that does, this code does, is just generates a room. Unless you want to modify it yourself, which you're free to do, obviously. That does what it does. It loads a map, and then it sets a map based on the it's an array of elements with specific characters, then it sets specific rules based on that. But again, let's just start from the top. So I've got this this is like the demo folder here, but I'll create one from scratch probably. So let's just go demo, let's put tutorial or something. Tutorial. Create a new HTML file. This just creates the. No, I'm not going to add that to source control. Nope. You would probably want to if you're doing it for real, but. So here we go. That's just a HTML file. I'm just going to call it. And I'll go through how we actually add the component itself, which is fairly simple. Demo rooms. And then our head. Let me just try and not rush this too much as well. I'm very conscious. Obviously, we had the. I'm just not going to add the background component, but we need a reference to A-frame itself. I'm pretty sure anyone who's watching this is going to understand that part. So we had a script and then SRC, which stands for source, and a source to the CDN for A-frame, which will actually generate the geometry, the 3D bit. So we definitely need that. That's a definite. And then we go and I already have some assets in this folder. Obviously, let me just add the A scene. So A scene, we add that to the body. That's telling A-frame that there's a scene here. I'm pretty sure anyone who's used A-frame is familiar with that. We're going to use assets. We're going to define our own assets. I'll probably create a different one, maybe, but actually no. Why not? Just. This is fairly self-explanatory. Assets, this is a reference to any textures we want to load in. So this is quite important for this example. I'll just reduce some of it because we're only going to use, I think, probably 2 textures here. So I'm going to go for, I think, orange, brick, and floor. The rest of them, I'm not going to use, so I'll just delete them. But basically, we've got assets, and then within this tag, we have the images we're going to use for textures for the floor and for the walls of the rooms, basically. So floor, orange brick. The important thing here to pass into the actual component is the ID, which is then gives a reference to the source. Another important thing to note here is that obviously in the repo itself I have like a bunch of predefined textures. If you were going to load your own textures in, just make sure that they're in the appropriate source. The path is basically, so it's basically the path to where the image is. So in this example, you can see that textures, we've got wood, and then we have floor. So that's pointing to a actual JPEG image. The path is like, is because it would mess up basically if you didn't do that. Anyway, carry on. So I'll add all this standard stuff. I'm not going to add the environment component. That was just something I was doing in the other example. But we won't worry about that too much. So obviously still being within your A scene, you add a light. It's just basically a generic light. A camera, again, basically a generic camera. Yeah, so camera walk controls. You can probably integrate a physics system into this thing, but not going to worry about that too much. Okay, let's actually create our reference to a room, which will have. We're going to build some unique rooms from scratch, obviously, but let's just have a look at that first. Let me just go onto here. But first, I'll just describe like the typical values. I won't pass the component. Before I forgot, something very important. This is mega important, actually. Can't believe I forgot it. So I'm going to just put in. I'm going to put in the actual reference to the component itself. So the component itself is room.js. You can get it from the minified version as well. I'll just put in the so those actual files are contained in the dist folder, which stands for distribution, and you've got the actual source code there with a minified version. For this example, we'll link to the component JavaScript code, which is this, basically registers a new component called room, and we'll just link to that just outside of the just below body, so it just loads after everything else, pretty much. And yeah, that should. Let me just talk over again what I'm actually doing or declaring with the component for room. There we go. Just enter this. So this is where the actual components created. I'll give each one an ID. It doesn't really matter too much if you do, I don't think. It's not adding anything based on that ID. It does it on this L for. So this is the actual, but this is where the component is actually added. Just to avoid confusion. That's just useful. So you've got a separate reference for each individual room. Like I said, we're going to create maybe 3 rooms. I want to do them in the map editor, and then I'm going to bung them in and show you how to use, to create multiple rooms, basically. Oh my god, we're going for 10 minutes already. Anyway, so we've got room, and then we go map to load. Now this is the name of the JSON file that you want to load, which has the map information within data, which is an array of, it could be varied length. I'll explain a bit more about that in a bit. Wall color, basically what colors do you want the walls, so I've set it to something like, I don't know, it's like a pinky sort of red there. Wall texture, we are going to change that to orange brick, and what that does is it passes the ID of the associated texture that we want to load in for the wall, and that's fine. And then again for the floor as well, similar. Just make sure obviously that if you do that the floor and the texture is correct. So if I then want to load that up now, it will load up a previous version of done, or should do, unless I've done something wrong there. I refresh it again. It seems to be loading everything okay. What? Oh yeah, I just left something open. Wait up a second. That's completely incorrect, obviously. Room.js. Wait up. What's wrong with that? Wait up. Have I just not closed something somewhere? Probably, yeah, okay. Bloody hell. That's literally what happens when you don't close. Passing those parameters to the component. Whatever. That's what happens. Okay, so this is a previous example. The light's a bit low. I probably need to add to that, obviously. It's too low, but again, this is a room that I made before, but we're going to make our own individual room. I do need to intensify the lights a bit more, so I'll make it like, I don't know, minus 0.7. Yada, yada, yada. There we go. Probably a bit too light now. Maybe more like 4. I don't want it dead bright. Anyway, and you can tweak all that, obviously, and add different settings. So this is a bit of it's not the most interesting map, is it really? So I'm going to make 3 separate rooms, and I'll try and join them up. I'll cover a bit also using the A-frame inspector to join rooms up. So a typical block for a room would look like that. So you've got an entity, a entity reference, and then you actually add the component code there, and you can also add some other options too to the component itself. Let me just put this back into presentation mode, and just so we've got these entities set up beforehand, I'm just gonna, like I said, I'm gonna create 3 rooms. I'll give them each a unique ID, because why not? And ID should be unique, really. I'll go map 2, and then I want to create map 3, map 1. So now in the actual preview, that's not going to load anything because we don't currently have the map 1 JSON data set up. So let's get onto that bit. And the component assumes that you put the JSONs in the root of wherever the HTML is. So for example, in this folder, that's where the component code is, and it would assume the JSON wouldn't be in a special folder, it would just be in the root directory. I might change that. If I do, then I'll note it. Maybe it should be in a folder or something for maps. But you can always modify, in fact, the code if you're not bothered about that. Anyway, let's just crack on. So we've got this folder here called Tools, and then in Tools we've got a map editor. I'm just going to open this up in my browser. This is just like a browser tool that aids in basically, so you can fly around and you can create your own custom box. So walk over the UI. So there's only one type of paint mode at the minute. There's full height, third height, and then you got like a map template size, so you can modify the size of the template you want to create. I get like 100 by 100. I think it should work. Might take a bit longer to load. Oh no, that one's not working. Anyway, we'll just do a 25 by 25. Like I said, I'm still sort of working on some bits of this. So I'm going to create like opening here. So, and I'm hoping this will work completely. It might be a bit buggy. So I'll just create an opening, and then that will open up to the, and we'll do like all the positioning within an A-frame itself. But I'm also going to want to create some half height, like a sort of table here. Or not delete mode. Delete mode actually deletes the whatever we're drawing on. I'm going to create like some sort of mocked up table thing, I guess. Okay, it is a bit control interface needs to be a bit better. It's a bit difficult at times. Like I need to create a non-selection mode basically, but I'll just go back and delete them, I think. So just delete that. And it doesn't usually create too much of an issue as far as I can tell so far. Like I said, this is sort of work in progress in terms of this. Like I really rushed just building this thing. Turn off delete mode and just fill in the gaps here. And we'll just create like some basic room like that. Go to delete again. And probably want to go switch back to full height. It's a bit awkward for us of that because it's so easy just to accidentally make a move because of delete or something, switching back and forth. But anyway, I'll just create some like, I don't know, like plinths here, and just give the impression of some sort of structure. I mean, this can be quite fun to experiment with, obviously, but like I said, it's fairly basic. The actual output won't additionally have these textures. These are just representative so that you can, when you're actually designing the map, you've got something to refer to that doesn't, that looks comprehensible, I guess, as opposed to just, like white nothingness. And maybe I'll put like something in there like that. I don't know. Whatever. Like it's just a test. Download the map. And you'll see there that I downloaded a new JSON. And what's contained in that JSON is just simply an array with. Now this may become more like it might be auto-generated in the future, but currently at the minute you go new, and obviously it'll need to be, I think, really. But let's go. Remember, we're calling the actual map data we want to load map1, so just do that, map1.json, and we'll do the same thing for each other one. Yeah, fine. And so I remember I copied the data reference there. Get this structure because it needs to be in this structure for it to work properly. And what the map is itself is actually created from that array. It reads a point and it creates like a for loop for the actual room creation. Now if I copy all that into there, and this is a 25 by 25, remembering that, so that height and width is fine. That should be fine. Just delete that. And then the most important thing to bear in mind there is that basically you have this JSON template which has got height, data and width. Most important things to note there is Obviously, if you've exported out 25 by 25, put the width and height as 25 by 25. If you've and also put the data in as an array there, just copy and paste it, basically whatever is exported from the map editor, and that should save any issues. So let me just comment out this code for the other two rooms, and let's just see if one of the rooms at least loads up. Yes, it does. So that's an approximation. That's a bit funny that's missing, probably because I did the delete by accident, but basically it's probably the quarter. That's like a representation of the I've not quite implemented that in the engine, but basically that is a representation of what I did. The opening doesn't seem to have appeared for some reason. Like I said, there's some bugs still and I'm trying to work out, but basically we've got a room there that's been rendered like from that map. So let's just try and create a second one very quickly. I'll do something basic because I don't know, this is already going on for like 20 minutes. I wouldn't think it could take that long. Go to the map editor again, just reload, close that down. So close that down. Back to the map editor, I'll just simply refresh, which creates a brand new version, blank. Let me just check something because I'm quite curious about this myself actually. So I'll just I'm going to create some other room. This will be room 2 with some openings like basically in there. I'm just quite curious about this because it doesn't seem to have got that part from that. So I'll just create those openings in the outside. That's room 2, just keep it simple like that. Basically, again, it creates the unique array which we can plonk in. Easiest way to do this is just to do like a literal copy of map 1, right? Paste map 2, and obviously, like to actually get this looking like I don't know anything decent, you'd have to tweak here and there. You'd have to do a lot of your own. But then, I mean, the point of this component is just to give you out of the box some basic functionality, so you don't have to, screw around too much yourself, basically, and you can just get it working pretty fast. I'll just cover the A-frame inspector as well a little bit, and just how to use that to position the actual entities with the components attached, if that makes sense. So say for example, wow, it'll make more sense when I show it actually. So go doof. We've got that should load. So it's map 2 there, map 2 JSON, map 1. So that one's referring to that one, that one's referring to that one, obviously. Go to tutorial again, browser, Chrome. This should now load 2 rooms, and I can work. I'll probably have to walk through to see the other one, or maybe it's on top actually. I can't remember if did I move it position wise. Let me just check. Okay, I don't think I moved it, so I'd have to move it somewhere. Otherwise, it's just going to be plonked on top. So I have to position this actual entity, because otherwise it's just like literally plonked on top. So go position, I'm going to go 0 probably because I want it flat, and then this is the z-axis basically where I'm putting it on now, minus 20 or something, just should put it 20 back from the z-axis. Yeah, so there you go, that's another room there somewhere. Yes, there's 2 overlapping rooms there. You can see that they're overlapping too much though. We've got those openings there which we made in the map editor, which is good at least. And let me just shift that a bit. Good way to do this, as I was going to talk about. So go Control, Alt, and I, which brings up the A-frame inspector, and it should work in most versions of A-frame, if not all. And what that is basically just an inspector for A-frame. So we can see from above here that we've got A entity, the room here, room 2, room 1. So if I move that by about, I don't know, what is it? Probably it's like 20 minus, probably, you probably really want to do it to minus 25. Then if I went into my HTML, went minus 25, that would basically be aligned probably that way around. So there's no other opening in the other one, so it wouldn't work. But for you to actually pass through, but I could create a opening, so I'll just do that. I'll do that manually, actually, to be honest. So I think, oh no, I'll take ages to do it manually, won't it? Of course. Okay, well, let me just show an example then by just loading the same map twice, because they both got openings, and then rotate it around just so you can show, like, just so I can show that you can, like, basically do that, I guess. So yeah, that's 2 rooms now connected. I mean, obviously I've had to do that manually, but it does now, because there's a gap there. It just connects it there. Now, obviously, like, if you want to craft this properly, it will take a bit of time. You can also change some other things. Let me just, that's basically how you do the actual room creation and pasting in and stuff. I can change the wall height, I can change the wall size, so I'll just do that. Not really tested this stuff that much, so let's just try it anyway. So wall height, I'll change it to like really low and really high or something. So you can also pass in wall height, and let's pass it like maybe 15, which might be quite tall, but just pass it that, see what happens. This might, yeah, see, look, say you can make it really tall. So it's like a huge cathedral now, and you could also make it really small. So I could go wall height and then 2, which would make it much smaller. The other way around. Yeah, so you got, it's not too small. It's actually more like a typical height, really. Than I think the default's set to like 5 or something, so, or 3 maybe. So yeah, that does that. So you could, again, if you wanted to, you could create like wall height of like, one with a very large. There's no real limitation on that. You could probably even put 1,000 if you wanted. And then, so if I wanted to create a very tall, yeah, see, it's like you could almost create like a building sort of. You could create different sizes for that. This, like I said, this does become useful once you get creative with it, basically. I'll demonstrate the color as well. So, like, if I wanted to just make this, like, red. I mean, you can pass it hex values as well, of course, but I'll just pass it something random just so it makes it obvious, basically. So, yeah, we've got a red building there now, the walls. And we could also pass this to the floor, too, I believe. So, if we went floor color... And these values can, and I'll just go maybe even purple, something really stupid. Purple, typical dev, innit? Like just adding really stupid color references. But there you go, purple floor, and so that just changes the floor color. If camel casing, of course, was just a good way to do it. It's how I was taught as a young lad. And green, so we've got yellow and green. They should add the floor, green floor. There we go. Anyway, I hope that's sort of useful. Like, obviously, of course, maybe if I wanted to line this up a bit better, I could just go into Control Alt and A, navigate around with the mouse, select the entire entity like that, and then I could like probably line this up like there, and just like minus. Check what it is on here on the position. It would be something like -2, basically, on the x-axis. That's x, that's Y the Z, by the way. You probably know that if you've used A-frame before. Blah, 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 blah. And then that would probably be a bit more, like, not fully lined up, really. It's just a bit rack of eye, as they say, but... Oh, wait, I've messed that up a bit somewhere. And I think I'll leave the tutorial there. That sort of gives you an idea of how to use it in the basic sense. There will probably be updates coming at some point. I just need to... I don't know why that's happened, but whatever. I just need to figure out what to do for that. Anyway, hope that's useful. I've been a nerd. Like I said, I'm going to develop this component a bit more. I'm going to build on it a bit more and make sure it's a bit more useful. But like, say for example, if you wanted to build just simple rooms. This should be a potentially useful tool for doing that. All the sort of like caveats and all that are in the documentation, but yeah, that's basically a tutorial on just using this component just to create simple rooms. I'll probably be rolling a little update to fix the smaller cubes out. It's probably something really basic I just missed or something. Probably I just forgot to add a height or something when I eventually added the room creation routine. But yeah, is that useful? Is it not? Like and subscribe obviously, and I'll leave the video here. Hope you enjoyed that and it's somehow useful.